we are in urgent need of a sense of our own existence which overcomes our feeling of alienation from the universe. In the book on the taboo against knowing who you are, Alan Watts attempts to address this need and our collective denial of our true nature. The book posits that our perceptions of ourselves as separate egos is a hallucination that has contributed to the destructive misuse of technology. We have developed a narrowed perception where we mistakenly see ourselves as things that come into the world rather than from it. In understanding the individual's real place in the universe, Watts presents a critique of Western culture and a healing alternative. We proceed with a simplified abridgment of this text. Chapter 1. Inside Information. What do young people need to know to truly understand life? Historically, taboos have surrounded intimate topics like sex, which is now openly discussed. However, deeper taboos persist, particularly around religion, where beliefs are often private. The Bible, while rich in wisdom, is complicated and difficult to relate to modern life. The ideal book would explore existential questions, our place in the universe, the nature of the self, and the meaning of existence. Ludwig Wittgenstein and other philosophers argue that questions like, "Why does the universe exist?" are meaningless and should be avoided. However, wonder is essential to human experience. There exists a subversive understanding of existence that challenges our common sense, often overlooked in traditional religions and philosophies. This understanding is crucial, especially as humanity faces existential threats from technology and environmental degradation. Our perception of ourselves as separate entities leads to a hostile relationship with nature, which is viewed as something to conquer rather than cooperate with. Recognizing our interconnectedness is vital for our survival and well-being. The perception of ourselves as separate minds in a hostile universe leads to a lack of common sense and understanding, resulting in a chaotic mix of conflicting opinions. While some may seek a new religion or philosophy to provide meaning, what we really need is a transformative experience that reshapes our understanding of self. Our sensation of being isolated egos is a profound illusion, and true selfhood is our interconnection with the universe. We are part of a vast, eternal flow of energy, transcending individual existence. Realizing our interconnectedness is challenging because conceptual thinking cannot grasp it. Just as one cannot see their own eyes directly, our foundational existence eludes understanding through concepts. We must use myth, metaphors, and analogies to convey these ideas. Myths can explain profound questions about existence, such as the cyclical nature of the world and the relationship between life and death. For instance, I might tell children that the world has no beginning or end, like a circle, and that God plays hide and seek by pretending to be everything in the universe. Ultimately, we are all expressions of a single self, with God being the essence of all existence, cleverly hidden within us. God sometimes appears as horrible people, or those in pain, but this is ultimately a reflection of himself. Just as stories require both good and bad characters for tension, life involves chaos that we must organize. In our modern, egalitarian society, the need for a punishing God has diminished. The true essence of existence, or the ultimate ground of being, is within each of us, yet acknowledging this is often seen as madness. Unlike the traditional view of God as a controlling monarch, Vedanta philosophy teaches that God is inherent in everything, playing hide-and-seek with himself. This perspective subverts our ordinary understanding, revealing that all existence is a manifestation of the divine. True realization comes from direct experience, transforming our perception of self and the universe. Vedanta, shaped by centuries of Hindu culture, has often been misunderstood in the West, attracting those who reject physical existence. However, its core message can be articulated in contemporary language, offering a vital perspective that challenges our isolated sense of self. This understanding differs from conventional unselfishness, which often masks egotism. The essence of Vedanta is not moralistic, it emphasizes genuine love arising from knowledge rather than duty. My aim is to reveal how things truly are, dispelling the illusion of the separate ego. Recognizing our shared self eliminates superiority and fosters unity. Chapter 2. The Game of Black and White. We often overlook the game of black and white. All senses are variations of the sense of touch. Our nervous system, like binary computers, operates on simple on and off signals, creating complex patterns. The physical world is fundamentally vibration, with no existence of on without off, or up without down. Consciousness tends to ignore intervals, yet these intervals are essential for perception. Just as sound is a vibration of sound and silence, the universe is a vibration of solid and space, where space defines relationships between bodies. Imagine a solitary ball in empty space. It has no energy or motion without a point of reference. With two balls, we can observe motion, but determining which is moving becomes ambiguous. Introducing a third ball complicates this further, as all can be in motion relative to each other. Adding a fourth ball introduces depth, allowing one to act as an observer, yet any ball can assume this role. The real question is, what if space itself is moving? This challenges the notion of solids and space as separate entities. They are inseparable aspects of the same reality, like cause and effect. Misunderstanding this leads to confusion. Our conscious attention narrows perception, leading us to see life in bits, which convinces us that the world consists of separate entities. This fragmented view creates the illusion of distinct causes and effects. Noticing involves selecting what seems significant, while ignoring countless other features. Our ability to notice is influenced by survival needs and cultural symbols. Many dimensions of reality elude our awareness, reinforcing the ego illusion. We engage in a struggle between opposites, such as life and death, viewing life as a battle for survival. This fear of death creates anxiety and a sense of loss. Death is a natural part of life, akin to leaves falling in autumn, and is not a sickness to be feared. Physicians should approach death as they do childbirth, recognizing it as a significant event. When the time comes, letting go can lead to awakening and liberation from the ego. However, societal attitudes often promote denial and anxiety about death, with doctors focused on prolonging life rather than facilitating a peaceful transition. Awareness of mortality can dissolve the illusion of separateness, revealing the interconnectedness of existence. Embracing death allows for a profound realization: we never truly die, as we are part of a greater whole. Friends should support this transition, celebrating the release from the persona we wear in life. Ultimately, recognizing the interdependence of life and death transforms our understanding, revealing the unity within the game of black and white. Science is increasingly blurring the lines between order and randomness, particularly in cybernetics, where we strive for control over our environment. As technology advances, the need for regulation grows, leading to complex bureaucracies that often overshadow the original purpose of their systems. Ultimately, as we develop an interconnected electronic nervous system, we risk losing individuality, merging into a collective consciousness that may diminish personal discovery and freedom. The rise of surveillance technology also threatens individual privacy, leading to a future where personal thoughts may be impossible to conceal. As society becomes more interconnected, the concept of a collective mind emerges, potentially diminishing individual identity. The evolution of technology raises profound questions about identity and control. As we increasingly reproduce ourselves through mechanical and electronic means, we must confront the implications of losing our individuality. While we may achieve remarkable powers of prediction and control, the challenge lies in managing these abilities wisely. Geneticists may create desired human traits, but predicting future societal needs is fraught with uncertainty. Each technological advancement brings new challenges, leading to a cycle of perpetual problem-solving without genuine progress in happiness or fulfillment. Ultimately, the illusion of conquering nature stems from a failure to recognize the interconnectedness of human nature and the environment. Our internal conflicts reflect this disconnection as we struggle between our rational and instinctual selves. This ongoing battle highlights the need to embrace the unity of opposites, acknowledging that light and dark coexist within us rather than perpetuating a futile conflict. The game of black and white, much like a staged fight, conceals the essential oneness of existence, as described in Vedanta as the self, the singular reality behind all forms. This implicit unity exists between the self and the universe, yet our minds have become narrow, obscuring this awareness. The question remains, how did we become so disconnected from this profound truth of interconnectedness? Chapter 3. How to be a genuine fake. The notion of I as a separate self is a misconception. The true self is the interconnected whole of the universe. Most people perceive I as distinct from their physical body, often associating it with a center in the head or chest. This creates a false sense of separateness, as if an internal officer observes experiences from a distance. Memory reinforces this illusion, suggesting a stable self amidst changing events. However, our bodies and minds are part of the same flow of existence. The skin is not a barrier, but a bridge. The illusion of egocentricity stems from historical ways of thinking. Images, myths, and language that have hypnotized humanity into perceiving a separate self. Our universe is inherently fluid, with no clear boundaries between entities. Attempts to impose order divide the interconnected whole into separate parts. Such divisions lead to persistent philosophical dilemmas as they misrepresent the nature of existence. Ultimately, both matter and form are aspects of the same process. The crackpot model, viewing the world as clay, underpins two major myths in Western civilization that shape the illusion of the real person. If the world is inert, it must be animated by an external intelligence, leading to the belief in a creator God who oversees and shapes existence. This image of God, while providing meaning and order, also creates discomfort, as it implies constant surveillance and judgment. As thinkers began to question this image, the world was reinterpreted as an automatic machine, devoid of a creator. In this view, matter and energy operate randomly, with human intelligence emerging from chaotic atomic interactions. This perspective emphasizes a heartless universe where survival favors the strong, dismissing those who seek a caring higher power as naive. The transition from the disconcerting image of an all-knowing God to the cosmic idiot left people feeling more isolated from the universe, reinforcing the illusion of the separate ego. The fully automatic model emerged as a dominant myth, likening the universe to a machine, despite contrary trends in science. This mechanistic view, while useful for scientific progress, overlooks the interconnectedness of nature, as seen in the organic perspective of Chinese thought. Nominalism, which posits that only individual entities exist, became prevalent in Western philosophy, reducing complex systems to mere parts. However, this reductionist approach fails to account for the relationships and contexts that define behavior. Understanding requires considering not just the components, but also their interactions and environments, blurring the lines between entities and their surroundings. Thus, a holistic view is essential for grasping the true nature of existence. Astrology, despite its primitive nature, contains a grain of truth. It reflects the interconnectedness of an individual with the cosmos at their birth. The essence of a person is not confined to their body, but encompasses the entire network of relationships that define their environment. Society plays a crucial role in shaping our identities. Our thoughts and emotions are influenced by societal norms, and this creates a double bind, where individuals are conditioned to feel independent while being inherently connected to their community. The paradox of being taught to be free while simultaneously being constrained by societal expectations leads to confusion and internal conflict, as individuals struggle to reconcile their perceived independence with their dependence on the collective. Children are taught to be free agents while simultaneously being commanded to act voluntarily, creating a contradiction. They're expected to love and care for their families without being told to do so, leading to confusion. This double-bind situation arises from societal rules that demand spontaneous behavior while imposing rigid expectations. Genuine actions like love and sincerity cannot be forced. They must arise naturally. The pressure to conform to these contradictory demands can lead to a totalitarian mindset, where trust is absent and individuals become prisoners of their own roles. This mindset drives humanity to dominate nature, viewing other species as enemies rather than recognizing their role in a cooperative ecosystem. Ultimately, the illusion of independence leads to self-imposed limitations and a failure to appreciate the complex web of relationships that sustain life. Society's ideal of individual rights often conflicts with the harsh realities of life, leading to a perception of individuals as expendable cogs in a machine. But when we view individuals as unique expressions of the universe, we can transcend the anxiety of separateness, recognizing that individuality does not mean isolation. Instead, each person is a vital part of a greater whole, where differentiation exists without true separation. Society's confusion between individuality and isolation leads individuals to strive for unattainable goals, resulting in frustration and a disconnection from the present. Instead of living fully, people are conditioned to focus on future achievements, rendering the present meaningless. Education perpetuates this cycle, preparing individuals for a series of steps toward an elusive success. Graduation offers only temporary fulfillment, as the cycle continues with new demands. Many work not for enjoyment, but for money, which fails to guarantee pleasure. Consequently, while we excel in creating advanced technology, our material culture often lacks genuine substance and satisfaction. The pursuit of wealth leads to a cycle of purchasing pretentious goods produced by money-driven manufacturers, often resulting in inferior quality. True craftsmanship is threatened as modern values shift away from pride in work. The realization that worldly success is ultimately vanity echoes through history, suggesting that material pursuits are fleeting and illusory. Western civilization's attempt to control life may ultimately undermine its own aspirations. Traditional responses to this impermanence, withdrawal or stewardship, are rooted in the belief in a separate ego, making them self-defeating. A more profound response involves embracing collaboration with the world as a harmonious system, recognizing that the true self is part of an endless process. This understanding, which is inherent in our being, has been overshadowed by a conditioned focus on separateness, leading to a disconnection from the essence of life. Chapter 4. The world is your body. Many of our beliefs are social fictions shaped by traditional thinking. Fictions are useful when recognized as such, but confusion arises when fictions are mistaken for facts. The concept of man as a separate being is flawed. He is an action of the world, not a passive entity. All things are interconnected, existing as glimpses of a unified process. Our difficulty in recognizing the interplay between organisms and their environments is heightened in complex behaviors, like with ants. While it seems they act independently, their movements are part of a larger configuration. Scientists find that understanding an organism's behavior requires considering its surroundings, including factors like food sources and environmental conditions. This interconnectedness reveals that the individual ant cannot be understood without its ecological context. The neglect of ecology in scientific disciplines limits our understanding of living systems. Ultimately, the notion of separate entities acting independently is a fiction. Actions arise from relationships, not isolated beings. Scientists would find clarity in a language focused on verbs and adverbs, eliminating nouns and adjectives. For instance, we could describe people and ants as peopling and anting, emphasizing that everything labelled with a noun is actually a process. The concept of causality should be replaced with relativity, recognizing that organisms and their environments are interdependent. This interconnectedness implies that intelligent behavior reflects an intelligent environment. Ultimately, life forms, including humans, are symptoms of the universe's complexity, suggesting that the galaxy itself is intelligent. Our knowledge of the world is self-knowledge, as perception is shaped by our bodily processes. Just as a rainbow requires the sun, moisture, and an observer, existence itself is a product of relationships, not isolated entities. The perception of a rainbow depends on the observer, challenging the notion of an independent reality. Our understanding of rocks, mountains, and stars is similarly shaped by our interactions with them. Science has evolved beyond the mechanical universe, acknowledging that at the quantum level, objects share properties with the things they interact with, emphasizing the indivisible nature of reality. Before quantum theory, the fluidity of form in response to the environment was not recognized at the level of elementary particles, though it is evident in biology. For instance, bacteria can transform into spores under certain conditions. Biophysicist Erwin Schrödinger posits that our knowledge, feelings, and choices are eternal and unified across all conscious beings. Each organism implies the universe, and vice versa. Chapter 5. So what? Discussing a new vision often prompts the question of its utility, particularly among Protestants who view contemplation as less valuable than action. Modern Protestantism, influenced by materialism, fosters a sense of separation, leading to chronic guilt and a relentless pursuit of progress. Change requires individuals to find contentment within themselves, as love and peace can only arise from genuine fulfillment. Without this, even well-intentioned actions may lead to problems. On Christmas Day, children eagerly tear into their gifts, creating chaos in the living room, yet the excitement quickly fades, leading to disappointment during the 12 days of Christmas. This reflects a broader issue. Our culture lacks magical experiences as we have scrubbed the world of enchantment. The pursuit of materialism has overshadowed the joy of the present. In-groups thrive on contrasting themselves with out-groups, creating a collective ego. This dynamic is evident in societal divisions, where winners need losers and saints need sinners. Despite various practices aimed at transcending this separateness, like meditation or psychotherapy, each often leads to new in-groups that exclude others. This cycle perpetuates conflict and identity through opposition. Ultimately, the more we seek to define ourselves, the clearer it becomes that we are interconnected with everything, revealing the paradox of existence. To be is to quarrel. Instead of escaping the trap of feeling paralyzed by this paradox, we should explore its meaning. Paralysis reveals the illusion of the independent ego. Realizing that the sense of I is disconnected from the universe allows us to experience life as a unified process. Each organism perceives this differently, but the experience of separateness can't be forced away. We should accept it as a natural sensation, yet spiritual practices aimed at transcending the ego often reinforce its existence. Understanding that the ego is a conditioned mechanism helps us see that our feelings and reactions are automatic and that choice is an illusion. Ultimately, the line between the observer and the observed is imaginary, and both are part of the same process. When the boundary between self and experience dissolves, we find ourselves as part of a harmonious world. This new sensation of self is exhilarating yet disconcerting, akin to learning to swim or ride a bike. The value of this experience lies not in its utility, but in its intrinsic nature, much like music, which exists for its own sake. A society devoid of purposeless activities would lack meaning. When tasks are done for their own sake, they transform into art, enriching life beyond mere survival. To be freed from the "you must survive" double bind is to recognize that life is fundamentally about play. However, play has two meanings. One trivializes it, while the other imbues it with sincerity and depth. True play, as seen in art and music, is not about utility, but exists for its own sake, like the universe itself, where our experiences are patterns of rhythm and vibration. The world is a captivating spectacle, drawing us into a game where we forget its playful nature. Ultimately, there is no separate you to extract meaning from life. Rather, you are the universe experiencing itself, and the essence of existence is found in the present moment, where nothing is truly gained, yet the joy of the game lies in the pretense of seeking. Bragging about understanding spiritual truths often masks a desire to maintain separateness, which can alienate those who genuinely struggle with their individuality. Compassion is essential for those lost in the game of life, as they embody the self's most daring play. This understanding does not instantly transform one into a model of virtue. Human frailties persist. Recognizing our dependence on others, including enemies, fosters the ability to contain conflicts and adapt. The moral landscape of the West is often conflicted, lacking humor and humanity. True morality requires acknowledging both the angel and devil within ourselves. To achieve peace and justice, we must confront our internal devil and recognize that the external world reflects our inner selves. Understanding our interdependence with others, including those we oppose, cultivates humor and humility, which is essential for genuine progress. This loving cynicism recognizes that human nature balances love and selfishness, reason and passion. When good and bad forget their interdependence, humanity risks becoming subhuman. Life must be lived as a game, embracing the spirit of play rather than rigid rules. Acknowledging our enemies and their role in defining us fosters compassion and chivalry, allowing conflicts to remain manageable. The illusion of separateness hinders true civility and intelligence. Cultures often impose contradictory rules, leading to frustration and a sense of ego as a burden. Instead of focusing on practicality and progress, we should shift our energy to contemplation, appreciating the richness of existence. Our experiences are often superficial, leaving us hungry for more. Yet with our extraordinary sensory capabilities, we should find wonder in simply being, recognizing that we are inseparable from the universe's intricate patterns. Chapter 6. It. True humour is laughter at oneself, and true humanity is self-knowledge. Humans uniquely reflect on their thoughts and existence. This self-awareness fosters curiosity about oneself, despite the complexity of understanding consciousness. Those who lack fascination with being human have incomplete humanity. Philosophy is inherent in all thinking, as thinking requires certain basic assumptions about life. However, the universe, as the ultimate reality, defies definition, challenging our understanding. Metaphysical wonder seeks experiential answers beyond words, urging us to explore the connections between all things and revealing the unity hidden in the gaps of our perception. This underlying essence has been labelled as God, nature, or the infinite, reflecting a universal, mystical experience across cultures. Despite skepticism, mystical experience reveals a transformed self, transcending mere intellectual speculation. Philosophical perspectives can be divided into rigorous, detail-oriented perspectives and holistic, unifying perspectives, which I call prickly and gooey, respectively. Currently, the prickly approach dominates academia, aligning philosophy with science. This perspective risks losing the essence of philosophical inquiry in favour of technical precision. The intellectual pendulum has swung towards a fully automatic model of the universe, emphasizing analysis and specialization, which obscures our vision of the whole. However, C.G. Jung's concept of enantiodromia suggests that extremes inevitably turn into their opposites, highlighting the interdependence of opposites. There are no prickles without goo, and there is no goo without prickles. Philosophy requires a correlative vision, recognizing that explicit opposites are implicit allies. This unity, termed nonduality in Vedanta, transcends multiplicity. Language is dualistic, and it cannot fully capture the essence of existence, which is beyond opposites. True understanding of this unity cannot be objectified. It is an intrinsic part of our being. It eludes description and should not be mistaken for an abstract, featureless concept. Critics often misinterpret Eastern philosophies as promoting a gelatinous God, but the term void refers to the limitations of concepts and not to it itself. While we must use images and concepts to discuss it, idolatry arises when we confuse these representations with the reality they signify. The traditional image of God the Father has become outdated, especially as younger generations rebel against paternal authority. As society evolves, the complexity of the universe challenges simplistic human images of divinity. We can awaken to the realization that our true self encompasses the universe, with it being the essence of existence itself. True humour arises from recognizing this divine comedy, where we forget our unity with all that is. Death, often seen as the end of consciousness, is merely a transition, as existence is cyclical. Each new life embodies the same I experience, emerging without memory of the past. Our ingrained belief that the I is separate from the universe obscures the truth. The world perceives itself through us. In this way, we are not strangers to existence, but integral parts of its ongoing dance. So, now you know, even if it takes time to fully grasp. Generations of parents have suppressed their children, insisting that they know their place, but in reality, you are it. The essence of existence doesn't seek attention. Rather, it expresses itself through various roles. To act as if you are God is to misunderstand the nature of the self, which is not a role to be played, but the underlying reality that manifests in all forms. It plays by embodying everything else, but not itself. And that brings us to the end of The Book on the Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are by Alan Watts. I do hope you enjoyed this abridgment, and encourage you to subscribe to the channel in order to be notified about more videos like this one. You can also support the channel via one of the means listed in the description. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.